Ciao, ciao. My name is Aiden.
My name is Warren.
My name's Tom.
And welcome to the Wisdom of the Why
podcast.
I got big rocks jumping at my brand new Patek watch. Ice, baby,
So, today, we're focusing on, initially to start, communication in ancient Rome. Perhaps the greatest empire that has existed, in my opinion, the greatest. Aiden, you want to touch on this?
I mean, the Roman Empire was very powerful. I mean, obviously, they took a lot of the Greek ways of communicating, education, all that kind of stuff, but they pretty much perfected almost all of it, except for the mathematics and literature. So that, in my opinion, just shows how powerful the Romans were at that time, and just how great they were at spreading all this kind of information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, of course, they domesticated the pigeon. Not the first ones to do it, but they were successful at it, so they could send long distance messages. Which is, that's the old ancient way of sending a text message, sort of thing. Kind of cooler, in my opinion. I don't really like texting. I'd rather have a pigeon that could send my messages. Celebrate good time. But I'm getting off track. But either way, the Romans were masters of sending messages down the line. They could communicate from one legion to another, and they were almost the only civilization at the time that had as large of legions. So, they could just get messages from here to there, and that just led to their great conquests.
Yeah, one thing that's much different then than it is now is information traveled so much slower. Taking a ship to get back and tell them that the war is over, or, just messages by horseback or just by running. It was just much slower and much more disjointed, so information didn't flow as freely as it does now, which may have led to some inhibitions of communication back then.
You also got to think about how great the Roman generals were at communicating to their soldiers and motivating them. Because think about it today, you barely want to get out of bed. You really want to go and fight in Gaul. You know what I mean? You need a guy who's there to motivate you. So that's what I think is very impressive in terms of communication with the Roman Empire.
Caesar was a great motivator.
Caesar was an incredible.
Yeah, their conquests were just it's insane how much land they actually conquered. And so you don't get that unless you have a great communicator, I believe. So, the Roman Empire was basically built entirely on communication.
Yeah. Yeah, once they established an empire, they were able to build a lot of arches. They loved arches, but they were able to build a lot and expand a lot outside of just Italy. And that left us a lot of monuments that span across the Gallic French region into, I would say North Africa. They went into Egypt with Caesar. So, yeah, they really were able to establish themselves and kind of make their presence known, where we can even see that presence today through the architecture.
Wow.
Yes, when you go to Rome, it's extremely impressive, but you can find monuments like that. Spanning Europe, spanning Africa. My favorite thing to read about Roman history is after the conquest of Italy, the Punic Wars. Punic Wars. That's an incredible story.
Hannibal was just an absolute dog.
Dog. Hannibal, but he did trap his army within Italy. That was his fatal
But
play.
he won. And then they just decided, hey, why don't we just attack Carthage at the homeland? And then
they surrounded him in Italy. So he cut himself off from the support lines. So in my opinion, Hannibal is not one of the great conquerors.
In his humble opinion.
In my humble opinion. I wouldn't put him up there with Napoleon or Caesar.
No, but before the barbarians, I think he was the closest person that came to crippling the entire Roman Empire.
But I think the coolest form of communication in Rome itself is man, what's that tower that you love so much?
Oh, Trajan's Column.
Trajan's Column. It has a whole story lined up above it. So
Greatest thing of all time.
It's well, I wouldn't call it the greatest thing of all time, but it's really cool just to see how they tell that whole story as it's going up the tower. If that's that's pretty advanced if you ask me.
I mean, Trajan's conquests were certainly impressive in the later first century. But I mean, when you talk about the great conquests of the Roman Empire, you got to talk about Caesar's conquest of Gaul.
Absolutely perfect.
Absolutely magnificent.
Caesar masterclass in golf.
He even
masterclass.
got with Cleopatra. I mean, what more?
Yeah, what more do you
Right.
want? He won life. Julius Caesar truly did win life.
Oh my gosh!
It was incredible.
Until of course he was betrayed by his fellow senators, or not his fellow senators. For anyone who doesn't know, he took rule. He crossed the Rubicon with an army. The Rubicon's a river that leads into ancient Rome, which was the only thing that could be punishable by death, where it was either leading an army into Rome or declaring yourself a king, which he did both by leading his army across the Rubicon. And he was stabbed, I believe, 50. The number's disputed, of course.
Oh wow.
I've heard
But
57 before.
it's by all the other
Yeah.
senators because they thought he got power hungry, and then but everybody loved Caesar because he reestablished order once he came back to Rome because it was in chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave him so much more territory, especially in the Gallic region. He gave him so much more territory and wealth that all the people really loved him. But unfortunately, the other senators and wealthy males really didn't like. They took all the power for themselves, so they went shank and yeah.
They're just upset that his croutons got too big.
That's one way to put it.
That's a great way to put it.
But of course, what happens, his nephew comes into rule, and the Senate's never able to regain control, and the next republic born would of course be the United States of America. So the senators, even when killing Caesar, they accomplished not much.
I mean, what's Caesar compared to the homeland?
People really did love him so much. They really drove the rest of the Senate out of profound.
I love him today.
I loved him.
He's inspired.
He created the Caesar haircut because he was balding.
Mm-hmm.
He created
And the
a
South.
solution
And the South.
for men
And the
who were
palace
bald.
in Las Vegas.
Yeah, in the palace in Las Vegas where he lived.
Great game. Never been. Great to see him.
Where Caesar would wake up and he'd put 50,000 on the Mets every morning.
Yeah. Where's Hannibal Palace? Warren, where is it?
Where's Hannibal Palace? You don't see that.
You know, he kind of got killed. He got poisoned. He poisoned himself and killed himself, I think. And, his entire homeland was kind of.
Well, he died a
Great
year up.
pillage.
He died a year up. And he still has no palace.
He died a
He died in
loser.
Greece.
He died a loser.
He died in Greece.
He died.
He gave military support to the Greece to fight the Romans after Carthage fell.
He died a loser.
He also,
Yeah, he didn't
but he
conquer
also
it.
got elephants all the way across the Alps, which is pretty impressive.
That is impressive, but the elephants got scared. They didn't think about that. My favorite part, one of my favorites, Caesar was, of course, a fanboy of Alexander the Great. And he said, when Caesar was around age 40, he said, "I weep for that. At this age, Alexander the Great had conquered the world, and for yet I have achieved no glory." Something along those lines. So,
Something along those lines. It must be somewhat accurate.
yeah.
2 hours later.
Caesar's a loser.
Another key part from that time period was the Rosetta Stone that kind of really helped us translate
Napoleon found that.
hieroglyphics. Yeah, he found that, but that really helped us translate hieroglyphics into actual words. That was really a key point.
These aren't really words. It's stories. It's tales.
Words are the building blocks to stories.
Alright, then what's the hieroglyphic for the?
I don't know.
Exactly. You have no idea.
Nah, whatever. Napoleon found that, though, the Rosetta Stone. Not sure exactly where he found it. I think in Egypt.
Probably Egypt.
Egypt,
Probably
not
Greece.
Egypt.
No.
Probably Egypt. Alright.
What was other language it was translated?
Greek literature was very good.
Greek literature was big for the Romans.
It was very big. So
a lot of
it's
education.
either Egypt or Greece. So.
Alright. That
That
concludes.
this episode of Wisdom of the Wine.
Of the final season as well.
Salute.
Not a chef.
It's not a
Riding in the Hellcat. This a hell night. I hope you know that it
you know that it demon gotta go to hell.